agree with me that raising children is not an easy job. This is because many things will affect and impact on the way they are going to live and the kind of people they are going to be in the future. But as parents, we sometimes make mistakes that will have far-reaching effect on the future of our children, either as toddlers or even as adults thereafter. And so in this presentation, I'm going to look at 7 ways that you as a parent can spoil your child. So come on with me as we look at these 7 ways. And so point number 1 is let your child manipulate you. Let them boss you around. Let them talk disrespectfully to you. Let them throw the tantrums and allow them to go and to get away with it. Kids are good at finding creative ways to wear you down to get their way because they really want to get their way. They are human beings and they want to get their way. They want to have influence in a world that you run. Anyway, who doesn't want to have their way? And so to do that, they can use emotional blackmail. They can use lying, tantrums, shutting down, negotiating relentlessly, or sometimes even playing the victim. And pretty soon you will discover that they are out of control. Because children learn to be master manipulators because you allow them to be so. The second way of spoiling your child is excusing their bad behavior. Have you ever heard a parent say that she's just a kid or he's just a boy, he will outgrow that bad behavior? You know, being a kid does not mean that you have to be rude, you have to be disrespectful, and you have to be careless. And so if you don't look for positive ways of dealing with his cussing, her tantrums, his bullying, their swearing, name calling, lack of respect, defiance, and lying, then you are on the path of building a spoiled child. Listen to what Ellen G. White said.
Some parents think that they can let their little ones have their own way in their babyhood, and when they get older, they will reason with them. But this is a mistake. Begin in the baby life to teach obedience. Require obedience in your home school.
A sure way of spoiling your child is not keeping your word. Sometimes you tell the child that if you do this, then this is going to happen. That is in terms of the consequences. That if you disobey, then this is a consequence. But sometimes you don't follow through and keep your word. Or if you make a promise to the child, maybe I will get you this, and you don't follow through with your word, then you are, in other words, telling your child that your words don't mean much. And so the next time you tell them things, then they may not be able to believe in you because they know you don't really mean what you say. So the secret here is saying what you mean and meaning it. Say it, mean it, and follow through. The fourth way of spoiling your child is doing everything for them. As a child grows, then they should become increasingly self-sufficient. That means they are able to do things for themselves. But if you want to continue doing things for them, then you are spoiling them and they never learn to be responsible. So let them sweep, let them clean, let them tie their shoelaces if they are able to tie their shoelaces. And by so doing, they become responsible. Stop pampering them and making them be dependent on you all through their lives, because later then you are going to have some lousy and lazy people who are not able to do anything for themselves. The fifth sure way of spoiling your child is giving them bribes. Kids should do what they're supposed to do without being bribed. If they have to eat, don't bribe them. If they have to do something, don't tell them, okay, you do this, and if you do it, then I'm going to do this for you. No, that is bribing. And of course, there should be a very clear line between bribing and rewarding. We bribe them to gain cooperation, and it seems to be the quickest way to have their compliance. And it generally happens when you are in the middle of a crisis. For example, you are in a supermarket checkout line when your child decides to have a complete meltdown. To avert this disaster crisis, you offer to buy a lollipop if she will stop the tantrum and be good. At the time you give in to her tantrum, she is the one in charge. She is controlling, she is manipulating. And sometimes it can get even more worse if she will learn that she can use this to get more out of you. So bribing can lead to extortion. What are the other dangers with bribing? A bribe teaches a child that if they scream, pout, and roll on the floor, they will be pacified with something that brings them pleasure. A bribe can also have long-term effects on your child's motivation and behavior. A bribe can teach your child to manipulate and control even later in life. Bribes don't prepare your child for real life, because in real life, you don't get really bribed for what you're supposed to do. And lastly, bribes may also get your child to cooperate for the moment, but it won't heal the underlying problem, which is defiance. The sixth sure way of spoiling your child is doing helicopter parenting. This is like hovering around to see what your child is doing. Are they doing it right? Are they in trouble? And every time being overprotective until the child has no space to experience and to learn from their own mistakes. That is a very sure way of spoiling your child as a parent, because they learn that you have always to be there. When they fall, you are the one to make them stand. They cannot stand by themselves. The last way to spoil your child is give them everything they ask. They want this, just provide for them. They cry for this, just give it to them. And they will grow knowing that in life you have to get anything that you want. Having said that, allow me to conclude by saying that child rearing is a great challenge, but also a great privilege. Raising good and godly children is not automatic. It's not an accident. It is a result of effort and good guidance from the Lord. The future of your child depends on your parenting skills. It is right in your hands. No wonder the Bible says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. So it's your job as a parent to offer primary training, to model behavior, to set rules and expectations. It is my prayer that God will guide you as a parent to identify the sometimes not so dangerous little acts that we allow or not allow, and by facilitate breeding of spoiled children right in our homes. May God help you to know how not to spoil your child. May God give you wisdom and resources to help you raise God-fearing and responsible kids. May you raise champions.